Dubai. Imagine a city built out of wishes. That's what 10-year-old Sarah thought whenever she looked at the towering buildings that scraped the clouds. They weren't just buildings. They were golden spears, twinkling with a million secret lights. In this city of shine and secrets, a party was happening that everyone called the wedding of the century. It was for Lara Mendes, a beautiful young woman from far-off Brazil who looked like she stepped out of a magazine, and Ahmed Al-Karim, a man known across Dubai for his kindness and his quiet, thoughtful eyes. Ahmed owned half the tallest towers, but he was always the most humble person in any room. Their wedding was held in a hotel shaped like a giant, perfect sail, the Burj Al Arab. Everything was gold and diamond and sparkling. The air smelled of expensive flowers and sweet Arabic perfume. Lara was wearing a dress that glittered like 1,000 tiny waterfalls. But as she stood next to Ahmed, her smile, while beautiful, didn't quite reach her eyes. It was like a little bird trapped in a very grand golden cage. Sarah wasn't actually at the wedding, of course. This story belonged to the grown-ups. But her uncle Farid was there. Detective Farid Khalifa was the sharpest, most observant man Sarah knew. He wasn't invited as a guest. He was there in his dark suit to make sure everything stayed safe and calm. Farid had a superpower, and it wasn't super strength, it was super noticing. As he watched the hundreds of happy people sipping fancy juice and talking in excited whispers, his eyes landed on someone who didn't look happy at all. At the very edge of the ballroom, where the shadows started, stood a man. He wore a dark suit, darker than Farid's, and he looked like a statue carved out of granite. He wasn't eating the tiny cakes or clapping, he was just watching. And he was watching Lara. His gaze was cold and sharp, like a sliver of broken glass. Farid started to walk towards him. Tap, tap, tap. His good leather shoes made a soft sound on the marble floor. He was a human bloodhound, smelling trouble from a mile away. But the moment Farid got within 10 feet, the man in the dark suit simply melted away. He didn't run or stumble. One moment he was there, a dark shadow on the bright wall, and the next moment, he was gone. Poof. Farid felt a chill, even in the warm ballroom. He looked at the exit, then back at Lara and Ahmed, who were laughing and cutting a huge cake that touched the ceiling. He tried to tell himself it was just a tired guest, but a little nagging voice inside him whispered, "You should have followed him." The wedding ended with fireworks that lit up the entire Dubai sky. Lara and Ahmed headed up to their special honeymoon suite, the grandest, most secret room in the whole tower. It had its own elevator and windows that looked over the whole world. Lara went into a side room to change out of her heavy wedding dress. When she came back out, she saw something slipped under the thick, polished wood of the door. A small, white envelope. Her heart suddenly hammered. Thump, 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 like a trapped drum. She knew somehow it wasn't a good luck card. She ripped it open. Inside, a simple, mean-looking note. "Did you tell him your secret, Lara? You can't bury what happened in Rio." Lara's fingers trembled. Rio was a lifetime ago, a place full of sun and bad mistakes, a place where she had made a friend named Lucas who wasn't really a friend at all. She had changed her name, changed her life, and put up walls of beautiful gold around her heart. But the past, she realized with a sickening twist, had followed her. Her secret had found the golden cage. Lara tore the paper into tiny, tiny flakes, then ran to the glittering bathroom and flushed them away. She washed her hands again and again, but she couldn't wash away the sudden cold fear in her beautiful eyes. The past had arrived, and it was knocking very, very loudly. The honeymoon suite was quiet. Too quiet. Outside, the city twinkled in the night. A million little lights whispering secrets. Inside, the lights were on. But the air felt thick and heavy, like a storm cloud had rolled in. Ahmed Al-Karim, the kind and quiet groom, was standing by the huge window. He wasn't looking at the magical view. He was holding something small and dark in his hand. "Lara," he said. His voice was soft, like velvet, but it had a strange, hard edge to it. "Who is Lucas Ramos?" Lara stopped breathing. The name hit her like a punch in the stomach. Lucas, the one she had run from, the boy who had turned into a criminal. Ahmed held up the dark object. It was a photograph, crinkled at the edges, of Lucas standing next to a very young, very smiley Lara. Lara's eyes filled with hot, panicked tears. "Ahmed, please. I didn't tell him. I promise. I was going to tell you everything." She wanted to explain that Lucas was trouble. A boy she had known who had done a terrible thing, a robbery, and she had run away, changing her life so the police wouldn't think she was helping him. But the words got stuck in her throat. Ahmed's eyes were not kind anymore. They were hurt and angry. "You came here and built a whole life on a fake name, Lara. You married me and brought your secrets into my family, onto my name. That is not love." His voice was low, shaking, and sharp as a piece of broken crystal. Their argument erupted. It was a terrible, desperate sound in the beautiful, silent suite. Ahmed sounded betrayed. Lara sounded terrified, trying to explain that she truly loved him, even if she had lied about her. A hotel cleaning staff member on the floor below heard the shouting. It was loud and angry. Then, suddenly, it stopped. Like a record needle being ripped off the music. Silence. An unnatural, heavy silence. The clock on the wall read 3:12 a.m. Suddenly, the whole hotel was deafened by a loud, horrible noise. The fire alarm. Wah! 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 Blinking red lights flashed everywhere. Security guards rushed to the suite. The door wasn't locked. What they found looked like a nightmare painted in a dream suite. Lara was on the floor near the giant balcony window. She wasn't moving. Her neck, which had just hours ago held a dazzling diamond necklace, was bare. The necklace itself was shattered. The beautiful diamonds scattered everywhere like drops of frozen rain. And the groom? Ahmed Al-Karim was gone. No broken windows. No signs that someone had fought their way in. No weapon left behind. Just the beautiful silent room, the diamonds, the lifeless bride, and the missing groom. The media went crazy. Dubai's fairy tale wedding ends in tragedy. Detective Farid Khalifa's phone rang. The wedding was over. The hunt had begun. Farid rushed to the hotel. He looked at the broken diamonds, the terrified look on Lara's face, and he thought of the man in the dark suit. He regretted not following him now more than ever. The tiny, nagging voice was shouting at him now. Farid immediately went to the hotel's special surveillance room. He watched the tapes. He saw Lara flush the note down the toilet, her face pale with fear. Then, he saw something chilling. The mysterious man in the dark suit had come back to the hotel. He had slipped into the private elevator that went straight to the honeymoon suite, using Ahmed's own security keycard. The man's face was hidden by the camera angle and the shadow of his hat. Farid zoomed in, zooming in on every pixel, his heart pounding. Then he saw it. A dark mark peeking out from under the cuff of the man's jacket sleeve. A tattoo. A snake or a serpent wrapped tightly around a cross. Farid picked up the phone to call his contacts. That tattoo wasn't just a design. It was a mark of a dangerous, secret group in Rio. And the man wearing it? Lucas Ramos. The dead girl's secret had walked right into the hotel and caused a tragedy. But where was Ahmed? Was he a killer or another victim? And why did the killer use his keycard? The mystery had just begun to wrap its coils around Detective Farid. This is exciting. Let's dive into Chapter 3, where the hunt officially begins and we introduce our smart new detective, Maya. The honeymoon suite was now silent again, but this time it was the silence of a crime scene. Yellow tape stretched across the doorway, and bright cold lights shone everywhere, making the expensive carpets and shattered diamonds look eerie and unfriendly. Detective Farid Khalifa stood in the middle of the room. He felt a huge weight of sadness. Lara had come here hoping for happiness, and all she found was the end of her story. "We need every single thing cataloged," Farid told his partner, Officer Hassan, "especially these." He pointed to the diamond fragments scattered on the floor, and the glass on the balcony. "If there's a tiny smudge, we need it." Hassan, a kind man who loved his family and hated mysteries, sighed. "It's like looking for a piece of thread in 100 carpets, Farid. No forced entry, no murder weapon. Just a missing groom and a dead girl with a terrible secret." "The secret isn't the key, Hassan," Farid muttered, his eyes tracing the path Lara must have taken from the door to the balcony. "The lies are the key." He walked over to the giant window. The view of Dubai was still stunning, but now it felt like it was mocking the tragedy. He knelt by the windowsill. "Look at this," he said, pointing with a gloved finger. Hassan leaned in. There was a tiny, silvery blue flake sticking to the wood. It was smooth and caught the light strangely, like something organic, not metal or dust. "Is that a paint chip?" Hassan wondered. Farid carefully picked it up and placed it in a tiny evidence bag. "I don't know, but it feels like it belongs to something alive, something slippery." He paused, thinking of the tattoo he'd seen on the security footage, a serpent wrapped around a cross. The serpent left a scale. They had the picture of the tattoo and the confirmed name, Lucas Ramos. He was a fugitive, a dangerous piece of Lara's past who had followed her to the City of Lights. But now, they needed to find him, and they needed to find Ahmed. A few hours later, in the cold, bright police station headquarters, a small girl with enormous focused eyes and hair pulled back in a neat braid sat at a computer screen. This was Maya, Officer Hassan's niece. Maya was only 12, but she was a code breaker, a puzzle master, and a whiz kid who could make a computer sing. She didn't have a badge, but she had a brain that worked faster than any police computer. She loved the idea of a real-life mystery, like the ones in her favorite books. "Uncle Hassan said you needed a ghost hunter," Maya announced seriously, not looking up from the screen. Farid smiled sadly. "I need someone to find a ghost who knows how to use a hotel keycard." Maya pointed a finger at the screen where the security footage was paused. It showed the shadowy man, Lucas Ramos, slipping into the private elevator using Ahmed's keycard. "The keycard is the trick," Maya said, tapping the screen. "It's a digital ghost. If he didn't steal it directly from Ahmed, then he found a way to clone it. Or he got it from someone who already had access." She spent a tense hour going through the hotel's digital logs. She looked at who used Ahmed's keycard in the hours leading up to the wedding. "Got it," she said with a sharp intake of breath. The keycard was used to unlock the side entrance to the hotel service tunnels 4 hours before the wedding started. That's how Lucas got inside without being seen. But then she found a huge puzzle. "Wait a minute, Detective Farid," she said, her eyebrows furrowed. "This is very strange. An account linked to Ahmed Al-Karim's private bank. the one the police flagged for suspicious activity, had been making large transfers. "We know that," Farid said, leaning closer. "Lara was being blackmailed by Lucas. She was sending him money." "Yes," Maya nodded. "But look at the dates. The money stopped 2 weeks ago. And then, just last night, someone tried to send one last huge transfer, $500,000, but the bank blocked it because the amount was too big for a single withdrawal." "Who tried to send it?" Farid asked, his voice low. Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard, tracing the IP address of the device that tried to make the transfer. "It was sent from a burner phone that was activated inside the honeymoon suite 6 hours before the wedding," Maya whispered. "It was sent by someone using Ahmed's password." Farid stared at the screen. The new timeline was dark and tangled. Lara was the one being blackmailed, but someone else, someone with Ahmed's passwords, was trying to send a massive payment after the blackmail had supposedly stopped. "Someone wanted Lucas to get paid, Detective," Maya concluded, her big eyes worried. "And that someone could only be Ahmed." Had Ahmed found out about the blackmail before the wedding? Had he been trying to pay Lucas off to leave Lara alone? Or was the quiet, kind groom actually involved in something much darker? The serpent's scale was still slippery, and the key card was a bigger mystery than they first thought. They had 2 missing men and a dead girl. And now, a $500,000 question hanging over it all. Detective Farid left Maya at the police station, her mind already buzzing with new questions about the transfer attempt. He knew she would keep digging into the digital trail, but the real-world trail, the human trail, was his to follow. Farid was worried about Ahmed. He knew the man's reputation for honesty and kindness. Could such a person snap and commit a terrible act? Or was Ahmed just another victim caught in Lara's web of secrets? "We need to find Ahmed's car, Hassan," Farid instructed. "It's a big city, but Ahmed's car is special. A black luxury SUV. Someone must have seen it." For 2 long weeks, the city of Dubai seemed to swallow the vehicle whole. The media reported every possible theory. Ahmed had flown out on a private jet. Ahmed was hiding in one of his own towers. Ahmed was on the run. Then, the break came. A shepherd, guiding his small flock of goats far out on the sandy, silent edges of the desert, spotted something dark and out of place. "They found the car," Officer Hassan called in, his voice tight with tension. "About an hour outside the city limits, abandoned near some old dunes." Farid drove out immediately. The change from the glittering city to the vast, empty desert was shocking. 1 minute, he was surrounded by towering glass. The next, he was surrounded by endless, quiet sand. It felt like they had driven into a different world, a world where secrets could easily be buried and forgotten. The black SUV was sitting tilted against a small dune. The driver's side door was ajar, swinging slightly in the dry, hot breeze. The whole scene looked lonely and wrong. Farid cautiously approached the car, shielding his eyes from the harsh sun. The car was dusty, but otherwise seemed intact. He leaned in and felt a cold drop in his stomach. On the steering wheel, there was a dark, dried smear. Blood. Forensics teams rushed to the scene, carefully collecting samples. It wasn't a huge amount of blood, but it was enough to show there had been an injury, or a struggle, right there in the car. "We ran the blood sample," the lead forensics officer reported grimly. "It matches Ahmed Al-Karim." Ahmed had been hurt, but was it a minor injury from a struggle or something worse? As they searched the immediate area, the desert heat pressed down on them. Farid imagined Ahmed driving wildly, perhaps injured, leaving the safety of the city for the terrifying, endless silence of the sand. "Look!" Maya's uncle Hassan called out, pointing a gloved hand at a spot about 50 feet from the car. The sand looked disturbed, as if something had been hurriedly kicked over and hidden. Farid knelt down and used a small brush to carefully clear the sand. Lying there, half buried and smashed, was a cell phone. It was cheap, plastic, and broken. Not the expensive kind Ahmed or Lara would use. It was a burner phone. This wasn't Ahmed's phone. It was the phone of someone who didn't want to be tracked. It had to belong to Lucas Ramos. The shattered screen was a terrible disappointment, but Farid knew that sometimes even broken things still hold secrets. He bagged the phone, along with a few scuff marks and footprints they found in the sandy, desolate spot. Back at the station, Farid handed the phone to a special tech team. But before they could even look at it, Maya walked in, her face pale. "Detective Farid, I found the ghost key," she announced, her voice trembling slightly. "What is it, Maya?" She held up a printout of the hotel's digital logs. "Remember the man who used Ahmed's key card? The security footage was too dark to see his face clearly, but I found a glitch in the security system data." She pointed to the log time, 3:10 a.m., just 2 minutes before the fire alarm. "The key card was used to unlock the suite door, right?" Maya explained, her breathing shallow. "But the system also records the weight of the person who entered the elevator for balance checks." Farid leaned closer. And Ahmed weighs about 85 kilograms, Maya whispered. "Lucas Ramos, according to the Interpol file, weighs about 75 kilograms. The person who used the key card that night weighed only 55 kilograms. Farid stared at her. His mind raced. A person who weighed 55 kilograms was much, much lighter than both the groom and the criminal. "It wasn't Ahmed or Lucas who used that key card, detective," Maya concluded, her big eyes wide with revelation. "It was a third person, a woman, and I have a feeling I know who." The key card was a ghost, a false clue meant to lead them to Lucas. But the tiny glitch in the data had just blown the case wide open, suggesting the whole crime was orchestrated by someone else entirely. The smashed burner phone from the desert lay on a table in the forensics lab, surrounded by tiny tools and wires. Everyone was quiet, watching the tech expert work, but no one was as anxious as Detective Farid and Maya. Maya had figured out the impossible weight discrepancy, and now the whole focus had shifted. Who was the light, mysterious person who had used the key card 2 minutes before the alarm? But first, they had to hear what was on the phone. The tech expert, a quiet man named Dr. Tariq, carefully soldered a tiny piece of wire to the phone's circuit board. He connected it to a large computer screen. "It's badly damaged," Dr. Tariq muttered, adjusting his glasses. "But the memory chip might be okay. It only has one file saved, a voice recording." Farid felt his heart thump in his chest, slow and heavy. This could be the answer, or it could be the final confusing twist. "Play it," Farid ordered. Dr. Point. Tariq clicked the mouse. At first, there was only static, the sound of the desert wind. Then, the sound of a woman's voice, raw with terror. It was Lara. The sound filled the quiet room, making everyone jump. Lara's voice was high-pitched, shaky, and desperate. "Lucas, please, don't do this. I told you, I don't have the money anymore. Ahmed knows. Don't come here. Just leave Dubai and forget me." A pause, where only the sound of ragged breathing could be heard. Then, the voice of a man, rough and low. "It's too late for that, Lara. You can't start a new life while burying mine. The debt is due." Then, a sound that made Maya jump right out of her chair. A struggle, shuffling, heavy breathing, and the distinct, terrible metallic click of a weapon being readied. And then, gunshot. A single, deafening crack. Silence. The recording ended. The room was utterly still. Fareed closed his eyes for a moment, letting the sound echo in his mind. The final, awful moments of Lara Mendes's life, captured by the criminal who pursued her. "The timestamp," Fareed said immediately, leaning in. "What is the timestamp on that recording?" Dr. Tariq checked the data logs from the phone. "It's an estimated time, since the phone was smashed, but it lines up with the struggle. The recording stops at 3:08 a.m. Fareed stared at the number. He walked over to the whiteboard where he had drawn the official timeline of events. 3:08 a.m. Gunshot on the recording. 3:10 a.m. Lighter person, 55 Kleitzer, uses Ahmed's key card to enter the suite. 3:12 a.m. Fire alarm goes off. Security finds Lara. Plot twist 1. The timeline is tense. The gunshot was fired 4 minutes before the fire alarm and 2 minutes before the mystery person entered the room, Fareed realized, tapping the board. Officer Hassan looked bewildered. But Lara was dead when they found her. If the shot happened at 3:08 a.m., then Lucas must have killed her and then fled before the fire alarm. Maybe, Fareed agreed, but his eyes narrowed. But why did the lighter person enter after the shooting? And why did they go in using a key card that Lucas didn't even need, since the room was probably unlocked during the fight? They were going in for a reason, Maya piped up, her voice small but steady, despite the scary sounds she'd just heard. They were going in to stage something, to make it look like someone else did it, to trigger the fire alarm, to leave a fake clue, like the shattered necklace. But why? If Lucas shot her accidentally in a struggle, why would a mysterious third person risk everything to go into a room with a dead body? And what about Ahmed? Hassan asked, pulling them back to the second missing person. If Lucas shot Lara at 3:08 a.m., where was Ahmed? Fareed looked at the data again. The huge transfer of $500,000 using Ahmed's bank password was attempted before the wedding. Ahmed knew about the threat. Fareed suddenly grabbed the phone printouts of the financial data and ran out of the room. "I have to talk to the bank manager again," he called over his shoulder to Maya and Hassan. "I think the argument between Ahmed and Lara wasn't about the lie. It was about Ahmed's secret plan to stop Lucas." Lara's voice of panic had given them the crime, but the timeline was creating a whole new, chilling mystery. The serpent's scale was getting smaller, but the lie that started this whole tragedy was getting bigger. Detective Farid left the police station, his brain spinning faster than the wheels on his car. He drove straight to the office of Ahmed Al-Karim's personal bank manager. "Mr. Hassan, I need to know everything about the $500,000 transfer attempt," Farid demanded, laying the printout on the polished desk. "Did Ahmed ever try to send money to Lucas Ramos before the wedding night?" The bank manager adjusted his tie nervously. "No, sir. Mr. Al-Karim only found out about the suspicious withdrawals. The $200,000 Lara was paying in blackmail on the night of the wedding. It was a terrible shock to him." "Then who tried to send the $500,000 before the wedding?" "Using Ahmed's password?" Farid pressed. The manager consulted his secure tablet. "Ah, that attempt wasn't a transfer, detective. It was a fraud alert setup. Mr. Al-Karim had secretly told us to set a trap. He created a fake transfer to an offshore account linked to Lucas Ramos. If Lucas tried to access that money, the bank would immediately alert Ahmed and track the location where Lucas was trying to cash it in." Farid stared, his jaw dropping slightly. Ahmed wasn't trying to pay off the blackmailer. He was trying to trap him. The gentle, quiet groom had a secret plan. He hadn't just run away in panic. He had set a dangerous trap, trying to be a hero and save Lara from her past, all without telling her. This explained why he knew the name Lucas Ramos on their wedding night. The trap failed, however, the manager added sadly. Lucas must have smelled the trick. He never tried to access the account. Farid finally understood the argument in the hotel room. Ahmed wasn't angry that Lara had lied. He was angry because Lucas had shown up anyway, ruining Ahmed's plan and putting Lara in danger. "Where is Lucas Ramos now?" Farid asked, his voice now crisp and focused. He raced back to the station. Maya was already there, still focused on her screens. "Good news and bad news, Detective," Maya said, her eyes glued to a map of the Arabian Peninsula. "The good news is, I found him. The bad news is, he's running fast." Using the burner phone's GPS remnants and cross-referencing it with flight manifests and border checkpoints, Maya had tracked Lucas. "He didn't fly out," Maya explained, pointing to the map. "He bought passage on a fishing dhow, a small boat, headed for the open sea, but he had to drive part of the way first. He is now near a small hidden port town in the country of Oman." "He's heading for the water," Farid realized. "Once he's on the dhow, he's gone forever." The race was on. Lucas Ramos, the serpent who had poisoned the beautiful city, was trying to slip into the vastness of the ocean. Farid scrambled to organize an urgent joint operation with the Omani police and the Coast Guard. They couldn't waste a second. Within an hour, Farid was in a specialized helicopter, zooming low over the dark, choppy waves of the Gulf of Oman. Below him, the Omani Coast Guard boats sped towards the tiny, isolated port Maya had identified. The helicopter pilot pointed toward the shoreline. "We see him!" A man running towards the largest dhow, carrying a heavy bag. Farid gripped his binoculars. There he was, Lucas Ramos, the shadow from the wedding, running like a hunted animal. He was almost to the boat. "Hassan! Hold him!" Farid barked into his radio, talking to the police on the ground. The Omani officers were fast. Just as Lucas reached the ramp of the fishing boat, 2 officers tackled him. The heavy bag he was carrying tumbled onto the sand, scattering items everywhere. Lucas was caught. The chase was over. Farid sighed in relief. He had the villain. Now all he needed was the truth. As the helicopter landed, Farid looked down at the sand where Lucas had fallen. Among the scattered belongings from his bag was a handful of something sparkling, a few tiny, glinting objects. Farid knelt down and picked one up. It was a perfect, tiny, expensive diamond. One of Lara's diamonds from her shattered necklace. Lucas had the diamonds. He was their killer. But as the police led a sullen, captured Lucas away, Farid saw his leg drag strangely. Lucas was limping. Farid's eyes widened. He immediately called Maya back at the station. "Maya, listen to me closely. Does Lucas Ramos limp?" Maya checked the Interpol file instantly. "No, Detective. His file says he had a running injury years ago, but it fully healed. He doesn't limp." Farid felt a chill despite the desert heat. He remembered the mystery person from Chapter 4, the one who weighed 55 kilos, the one who entered the suite after the shooting. And now he remembered Plot Twist 2. The man who used Ahmed's key card in the shadowy video had a noticeable limp. If Lucas didn't limp, then the man in the video wasn't Lucas after all. Lucas was only half the puzzle. The real culprit, the lightweight, limping mystery person, was still out there. The sterile gray interrogation room felt cold, even under the bright lights. Lucas Ramos sat across from Detective Farid. his clothes dusty from the desert, and his eyes full of exhaustion and fear. He still clutched the small bag containing the few stolen diamonds. "Start from the beginning, Lucas," Farid said, his voice calm but firm. "Why did you come to Dubai?" Lucas was sullen at first, trying to act tough, but the sight of the diamonds being bagged as evidence seemed to drain the fight out of him. He looked like a small boy caught with his hand in the cookie jar, not a dangerous criminal. "For the money," Lucas finally admitted, his voice hoarse. "Lara owed me. She ran away from Rio after the robbery, changed her name. The police thought she helped me, but she didn't. She just ran scared." "She was giving you money," Farid stated, leaning forward. "The blackmail payments." "Yes, for months," Lucas spat out, bitterness in his voice. "But she stopped. She married this rich guy, Ahmed, and thought she could forget me. I told her I'd expose her past, ruin her new life if she didn't pay the final big debt. I needed it to disappear for good." Lucas explained how he slipped into the Burj Al Arab using the service tunnels. He didn't have Ahmed's key card. He just knew the security was focused on the wedding, and he could sneak up the service stairs to the floor below the suite. He confirmed the recording. "I found the suite unlocked. Maybe Ahmed was in the bathroom. Lara was there, crying. I confronted her, and she said Ahmed already knew everything. She looked terrified, not of me, but of him." "What happened next?" Farid asked, his eyes locked on Lucas. Lucas dropped his gaze. "She tried to grab my bag. She said she was done running. She started screaming. Then Ahmed came rushing out of the bedroom. He looked like a man possessed. He didn't even see me at first. He ran straight to Lara, telling her to stop." "He was trying to protect her?" "No, he was trying to shut her up. He was worried the staff would hear. Then he saw my gun. I had it tucked into my belt. He tackled me, going for the weapon, not even looking at the barrel. We struggled, rolling around on the carpet." Lucas took a shaky breath. "The gun went off. It was loud. I saw the flash. Ahmed stopped fighting. He looked at Lara. She was on the floor, still. The diamonds, they scattered everywhere." Farid showed him the timeline on the board. The shot was at 3:08 a.m. What did Ahmed do then? "He panicked," Lucas whispered. "He pushed me off and just stared at her. He didn't even look at me. He just grabbed the gun, ran back to the bedroom, and then I heard the door of the private elevator slam shut. He was gone. He left her there." Lucas claimed he grabbed the diamonds that were closest to the door, hoping to make it look like a robbery, and then fled the way he came. He didn't set off the fire alarm. He didn't use a key card. The unexpected confession. Lucas insisted that the gunshot was an accident, fired during a struggle with Ahmed. He didn't mean to hit Lara. He just wanted the money. And, crucially, he swore he hadn't touched the fire alarm or used any key card. Farid believed him. Lucas was a thief and a blackmailer. But his story, of a frantic struggle and a groom panicking, matched the raw terror of Lara's final recording. "Did you notice anyone else in the hallway or the floor?" Farid asked. Lucas shook his head. "No, it was silent after the shot, except..." "Except what?" "Except just as I was running down the service stairs, I heard the elevator ding, the one for the private suite. It was coming up." This confirmed it. Lucas had fled before the mysterious, lightweight person arrived. Farid called Maya. Lucas Ramos is telling the truth about the accidental shooting. He didn't stage the scene. Someone else went into that room at 3:10 a.m. and set up the cover story. Find out who weighs 55 kiloliter and has a limp. Maya, using her sharp tech whiz brain, was already running a search on everyone who attended the wedding who fit the physical profile. She cross-referenced the weight and the limp with the guest list. "Detective," Maya said, her voice dropping to a serious whisper. "I found a match. The security reports mention a junior wedding planner who had to be carried to the service entrance earlier that day because she twisted her ankle." "What's her name?" Maya typed a final command. "Her name is Layla, and she was hired by Ahmed's family to manage the wedding details. She would have had access to his security codes and his key card." The web of lies was suddenly pulled tight around a new, unexpected character. Layla, the limping wedding planner, was the ghost key. But why? Back at the police station, Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard. She was running a detailed background check on Layla, the wedding planner. "It all fits, Detective," Maya reported to Farid, who was pacing, anxious to find Ahmed. "Layla weighs 54 kilograms, exactly the weight on the elevator log. She had a visible limp from a twisted ankle. And she was obsessed with Ahmed." Maya pulled up photos from Layla's private social media. It wasn't just wedding photos, it was dozens of close-up secret photos of Ahmed taken over many months. "Layla worked for Ahmed's family for 3 years, Maya explained. She thought she was going to marry him. When Lara came along, Layla was heartbroken. She wanted Lara gone." "But why would she cover for Lucas?" Farid asked, confused. "She hated Lara. Why not let everyone think Lucas, the criminal, murdered her?" Maya zoomed in on a financial transaction. "She wasn't covering for Lucas, Detective. She was trying to cover for Ahmed." Maya had found an old encrypted message Layla had tried to send right after the fire alarm. It wasn't a confession. It was a panicked message to her friend. "He panicked. They can't know he was there. I used his card. I made it look like the criminal did it. He needs time." Layla hadn't seen the shooting, but she had seen the aftermath. She saw Ahmed flee in terror, carrying the gun, and realizing he had accidentally helped cause his new wife's death. Layla, in her twisted love for Ahmed, thought he had killed Lara and was running away. She went in with the key card, staged the scene to frame Lucas, the easy target, and set off the alarm to make it look like a crime scene she just happened upon. She was protecting the man she loved. Farid understood the whole tragic spiral. Ahmed tried to be a hero with a secret trap. Lucas arrived, a struggle, an accidental death. Then Layla, thinking she was saving her hero, created a cover-up that only made things worse. "But we know Ahmed didn't mean to kill Lara," Farid said sadly. "He just panicked after the shot, thinking he was responsible. He took the gun and fled the suite. He drove his car into the desert, maybe intending to bury the weapon and hide." Layla was quickly apprehended. Her desperate act of loyalty had only tangled the truth more horribly. Farid still had one terrifying mystery to solve. Where was Ahmed? He went back to the desert where the SUV was found. He walked around the car, thinking about the generous, kind man who had been planning a trap to protect his love. "Ahmed wouldn't just abandon his car and run off randomly," Farid muttered, looking at the tire tracks. "He was a planner. He had a plan for Lucas. He must have had a plan for the worst-case scenario." He remembered a small detail Maya had found in Ahmed's computer search history. Ahmed was an avid amateur astronomer and hiker. He often used an old, simple compass application on his phone to mark places in the desert where he could watch the stars without city lights. Farid pulled out his phone and opened a simple desert mapping app. He looked at the coordinates of the abandoned car. He started walking in a direction that felt right, where the sand seemed undisturbed, following his own gut feeling. He walked for a long, silent time. The sun was hot, and the silence was deafening. He passed 3 large, lonely dunes. Then, he saw it. Tucked into the side of a large rock formation, almost hidden from the light, was a small, narrow cave. It was barely big enough for one person to crawl into. Farid's heart pounded. He called out, "Ahmed? Ahmed Al-Karim?" Only the wind answered. He crawled inside. It was cooler, darker, and smelled faintly of earth and dust. Ahmed wasn't there, but lying on a perfectly smooth, flat stone was his expensive wristwatch. It wasn't ticking. Next to it was a folded piece of paper, kept flat by a small, heavy stone. Farid carefully picked up the paper. It was a note, written hastily but clearly. The note was from Ahmed. "To whoever finds this, I know what people will think. I took the gun and ran, and I left Lara. I am sorry. I panicked when I saw her fall. But I didn't mean for this. I wanted to save her from Lucas. And now I have destroyed everything. I know I will die here. I lost my way in the heat, and my strength is gone. But I must say this. I ran because I thought I could still catch Lucas. I drove into the desert to bury his gun so he couldn't use it again. But when I found the gun gone, I knew he was still near. I wanted to hide and find a way to lure him back to the city so the police could get him. I didn't kill my wife, but I failed to protect her. Please tell the world that Lara was good. She just made a mistake in her past. Don't let her last chapter be a lie. I wanted love without secrets. Now all I have are these golden sands." The note ended there. Ahmed, the quiet hero, had not run away as a killer. He had run to continue his plan to trap Lucas, to clean up the mess, but he had lost his bearings in the vast, unforgiving desert. Farid looked up. A little farther back in the cave, hidden by shadow, was a small pile of clothing. Ahmed had died there, exhausted and heartbroken, trying to hide until he could finish his desperate plan. The final victim of Lara's buried past. Weeks later, the city of Dubai finally received the whole, sad truth. Lucas Ramos was charged with manslaughter, accidental killing during a struggle. Layla was charged for the cover-up and misleading the police. Detective Farid stood by the shoreline, the city lights shimmering across the water. Maya stood beside him. "Lara wanted a new life," Maya said softly, looking at the bright towers. Ahmed wanted love without secrets, and Lucas wanted money. In the end, everyone lost something, Farid agreed. He looked at Maya, the smart young girl who helped him solve the puzzle. "But we found the truth, and that truth, no matter how sad, can't be buried again." He muttered the final sad thought to himself. The past never stays buried, especially when love, greed, and a well-intentioned lie share the same bed. And as the waves lapped against the shore, the mystery of the golden cage was finally closed. A story hidden beneath Dubai's glittering surface,